What's up YouTube, Daryl here from Zephyr, and today we're bringing you some live commentary from a duel at Locals. On the left we've got myself playing Maliss, and on the right we have Tenpai, and this is obviously all going to be post ban list, so we're going to see how the decks can operate. So we start off with Signet Mining, just kind of deciding which card to discard, because the idea is, or what I'm contemplating is, if there's an Ash Blossom there, how far I can go. Luckily there isn't an Ash Blossom, so straight away I'm kind of in a position where I feel that I can kind of go off with Dormouse now. With normal summon Dormouse, there is no imperm, so Dormouse allows me to banish Rabbit. Rabbit's effect will then trigger. This will then obviously deal me some damage in order to summon itself back, and we're basically going to start to combo off from this point on. Malices, once they get going, can produce a very powerful board, and what we mean by that is their end board isn't the most daunting. It's not like 20 negates on the board then and there, but what they do have is they do have the ability of having a negate on the board, and then off the back of that they have a lot of recursion from the graveyard, so they're able to kind of balance their resources, and you're also supposed to have resources in the hand in order to interact with your opponent as well once you've deck thinned everything else. So we've gone with Hagar Lizardos. Hagar Lizardos has gone to banish the Dormouse, and then my opponent has chained Magnamute, targeting the White Rabbit. I said obviously it banishes as cost, but regardless, even if he banished the Dormouse, it would have come back to me anyway. So they've got the Magnamute on the board, which means they're going to be able to search out either their Pydra Starter or a Druid Swarm interruption for the next turn. We're going to keep going into Red Ransom, which will lead me into the field spell. Activate TB11. This is probably the weakest point to hand trap, so this is the best point for them to Ash Blossom you, because if they do that, yes, of course, your Red Ransom is already going to come back, but you don't get the Chessy Cat, which then means that you have to activate the field spell to get the Chessy Cat onto the board and into rotation, which then means your White Binder is going to be a little bit more difficult. You kind of want to stop the Red Ransom getting back to the board or banishing, because then that's when they can start activating stuff like you've just seen with Dotscaper, and then this is where the combo can kind of snowball out of control. There are different positions, again, if you're going to get Nibiru'd or anything else like this. We kind of go Splash Mace to bring back the Chessy Cat, going into White Binder. White Binder is going to banish the Chessy Cat and the trap. Chessy Cat will trigger to summon itself back again, dealing me with 300 points of damage. And then, of course, we have the ability now to continue to link off. So we're going to be going with White Binder's effect to set the trap card, which will usually be GWC. And this is the one that lets you revive from the grave or banish. We turn Chessy Cat into Link Disciple, or Link Disciple. And then we use White Binder and Link Disciple to get into Firewall. We're then going to go Chainlink 1. Sorry, what we should have done here is Link Disciple should have been coming back. So it should be Link Disciple coming back. And then we've got White Binder. Activate the field spell, White Binder to banish. Obviously, it's local, so we're a little bit more lenient. But honestly, that Link Disciple decoder should have stayed in the grave. But obviously, it's all a learning curve from both ways. So we then activate the field spell banishes White Binder comes back, paying life points, drawing a card. We then put the White Binder, the Red Ransom, and the Link decoder to go into Hearts of Crypta. This will then trigger Firewall Dragon's effect, and Firewall Dragon's effect will allow us to summon one back. But as you saw, I completely missed the Firewall bounce back. So as I was going so fast, I obviously confused myself with the Link decoder, and because I confused myself with the Link decoder bringing it back, I then completely forgot about the bounce of the Firewall, and the bounce of the Firewall would have added 2 back to my hand in order for me to summon them down. So all I had was the Code Talker in the hand, which is something I was lucky enough to hard open, which was kind of the contemplation of, do I discard that at the start or not? Decided not to discard it. Get to summon it down, and then we're going to go into Terahertz, and then Terahertz is going to send the Dray Swarm, which gives you that spell and trap negation, and then we're going to set one more card. Now, if I had done this correctly, I would have had an additional 2 more cards in my hand, because I would have been able to add 2 back from Firewall and then gone from there. So Firewall at this point was pretty pointless in doing. It didn't really need to be done. But we've ended on a Terahertz. We still have the GWC, and we've also got 1 trap card. He decides to add the Druid Swarm off of the back of the Magnamute during the end phase, and we can see that he's just drawn a Raigeki for turn, which, yeah, okay, they can activate the Raigeki. That will bait out the negation of the Dray Swarm, because straight away we're going to be able to deal with that. But instead of that, he goes with the Druid Swarm to banish the Dray Swarm, and then that's going to stop me having that spell and trap negate in the back of that. So then they activate Raigeki, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to lose it regardless, so I might as well chain the Terahertz, send in Packbit. Terahertz dies, and then Packbit's effect resolves, and this is where the benefit of having those 2 additional cards in my hand from the draws earlier on would be more helpful for me, because then it means I don't have to discard one of the 2 cards in my hand, which is Gold Sark, and I believe one of them is a trap card. I think it's a Dominus Impulse. But the idea is that at this position here, even with a bit of a misplay, I still have advantage. The board's not as impressive because there's not like monsters on there. But if the GWC resolves, bringing back the white binder, that's when a lot of effects are going to start going off. So it really is kind of like, do we let the Pydra resolve? Pydra resolves to get the field spell, the Kaiman, so it kind of shows which one they now start to prioritize. Personally, I think they probably should have gone for the Kaiman, but on resolution, we're going to activate the GWC, and this is just going to make sure that we have the Heart's Crypta in rotation. So we go into White Binder. White Binder's effect will target 3 in the graveyard to banish. So we're going to banish the Red Ransom, the Heart's Crypta, and then possibly one other. So we're just debating whether we banish from their graveyard or ours. We're just going to go with the 2. Both of these are then going to trigger, of course, burning me for even more life points, so 900 life points each. But what this does do is it does bring back both of them to the board. Hearts of Crypta is obviously live, and then Red Ransom will allow me to banish one from the deck, which will be the White Rabbit, and the White Rabbit will lead you into the trap card. So straight away from having no monsters on board, just because the trap card resolves, the trap card ends up leading you to 2 non-target banishes, and can lead you into a draw as well when you bring back the White Binder. So this allows you to pretty much pick apart the board before your opponent kind of like gets to it. And then obviously with Red Ransom, I think it's because Red Ransom and White Binder are both pointing to White Rabbit, neither of those can be destroyed by card effect, which is quite a good little, like a small lock, which can be quite helpful. So all we know is there's Pydra, and then there is a Sangan summoning. There's obviously a Kaiju in the hand, which at the time of playing, I don't know that until it hits me. I'm just explaining all of the cards here. The Hearts of Crypta has a non-target banish, plus the Hearts of Crypta also is at 5k because it's come back and it doubles its attack. On resolution, again, of all of this, we're going to activate the MTP07. So, or just letting them know what the MTP07 does. So it allows me to banish a Maliss monster the turn that it's set. In order to activate it, it lets me add a Maliss card, and then it will allow me to banish a card on the board. Now, he strangely Kaijus the White Rabbit, where I think this was just inexperience of what. He was probably a little bit more blindsided by the effect that it provided the White Binder and the Red Ransom, and he was probably a little bit more worried of that than anything. So he activates the Sangan Kaiman. I can see that he's got the Fadra in the hand as well. Not the Sangan Kaiman, the Sangan Summoning. Has he hard opened the Kaiman? I'm trying to see if that's the Kaiman. If he has, that's pretty broken. So we'll activate the Heart's Crypta, which will banish the field spell. So I just said to him at the end of this duel, I was like, you probably should have got rid of the Heart's Crypta. Yeah, there you go. I said, you probably should have got rid of the Heart's Crypta, because then that's the non-target banish, which means I still had 2 more forms of interruption on here. It does look like they've hard opened the Sangan Kaiman, which is pretty nuts, to be honest. So it goes to the battle phase, Sangan Kaiman, activate Dominus Impulse, and like, yeah, straight away, there's nothing they can do now. So I'm in the battle phase, or they're in the battle phase. I can activate the trap card to get rid of the Pydra. That clears them out with pretty much everything. And then going into battle phase the next turn, Heart's Crypta's at 5k, the Kaiju's at 3k itself. That's pretty much going to lead into the OTK. So they're going to pass it. We're going to banish the Pydra. We're going to search, and they pretty much just say, yeah, we might as well scoop it and go to game 2. So even after a bit of a misplay, we were able to kind of control the board there. We played for a Raigeki, 2 Bestials technically, and then gone from there. So we get to start again. We go with the Hornet Drones this time. Drones is going to summon out a spawner token, and then we're going to turn the token into Kagari. Kagari is going to add back the drones, and then we're going to activate the drones again to give us another token, which basically gives you 2 bodies on the board for pretty much free. And the reason you're playing the Engage is that you can play 4 copies of drones. I think if drones was at 3, maybe you'd play the ratios a little bit less, because you don't need to rely on the Engage. The Engage is purely there to get you to the drones, and sometimes it can get you to a Widow Anchor depending on what you need. So we're going Gold Sart, we're banishing the Dormouse. The Dormouse is going to summon itself back. Now this is just to maintain the normal summon. It's not something you always want to be doing, but sometimes when you open up Gold Sark, it's something you can afford to do. The only thing you need to remember is that when you're making your link plays, you lose an extender because you can't banish the Dormouse. So, because the Dormouse, you'd usually want your normal summon, which you can banish it later on in the turn. But I feel that's where the Sky Striker package lets you help that, because it lets you jump a step. It lets you jump from going into Link 2s to just jumping straight into a Link 3. So we get the White Rabbit to the board, which sets TB11. Always pretty standard on that one. The only time they will not set TB11 is probably if they are either going second or if they've already hard opened it. So we're going to activate Talents because there was D-Shifter activated, and I did say to them again, this is just a little bit inexperienced with D-Shifter. He should have activated D-Shifter during the draw phase, because then it plays around Talents and I lose my drones. So he was just kind of holding it for a point where he felt it'd be effective. And again, that's just a little bit more inexperience of not facing Maliss, not knowing that Shifter is not worth it. You can also see in the hand that they've got a Ghost Ogre, which is completely dead under Shifter. There's a Kaiju and a Raigeki and a Pydra. So they've got their combo starter, they've got a board breaker, and then they've got like just a massive card that's going to be able to get rid of whatever like main monster I put on the board. I'm not worried about Ghost Ogre because Ghost Ogre is just irrelevant, and now we're basically just kind of thinking in my head what is more damaging to me. Of course I could go for Terahertz, but if my ideal goal is to end on a Terahertz, it just gets hit with a Kaiju anyway. So I can't spin back the Kaiju, then get Raigeki'd, then use the Terahertz negate, then normal summon the Pydra, Terahertz for Pack Bit to push it back into the spell and trap zone. That's probably one of the ideal ways of getting rid of it. Just because the Kaiju can get rid of a Heart's Cryptor if I go onto it, and I'm also under Shifter as well. So I felt that getting rid of Raigeki is probably something a little bit more damaging, because if I'm going to plan under Shifter to not be able to do Terahertz, I'm better off going for the Heart's Cryptor. So we use Kagari plus White Rabbit, which will get banished, plus the token to get me into Red Ransom, which will get me the field spell, which is slightly irrelevant. Like, I probably should have just gone for the White Binder, but getting the Red Ransom into rotation can still be very, very helpful, because that could be quite good to give you another monster that floats back to the board, banishes the Dotscaper from the deck to allow you to combo even higher, and kind of move from there. So we activate TB11, we're going to banish the Red Ransom. Now that I know exactly what they've got in the hand, I don't need to fear an Nibiru or any other hand trap. So we go TB11, banish the Red Ransom comes back, banish the Dotscaper from the deck. And you can see that because we started off with the Sky Strikers, we have that additional body on the board. That's really what we're looking for, is we still have this body on the board, so that if we do get hit with something, bar a Nibiru, we still have plays to make. I think like Shifter plus Nibiru is quite a damaging combo against this deck, but even then, if they do it at the wrong time, like Chessie Cat would get banished and come back, I turn the token into a Link Spider, and then I still have plays to make. But then if you're on the Shifter, you don't have anything in the graveyard. So we're bringing Chessie Cat back. This is the one benefit, is Chessie Cat can use this effect now. So with TB11, it's only negated when it comes to the board. So when it comes to the board and then you get rid of it and bring it back, its effects are refreshed, so it's good to be activated again. And this is the one benefit of, like, we're not planning to use the field spell because Shifter's already in play. I might as well ditch it and then draw 2 new cards. Hopefully these are hand traps that can interact with my opponent to kind of slow them down a little bit more as well. So we've got White Binder, we've got Red Ransom, we've got Chessie Cat on the board. The idea is that turning all of these into something like a Heart's Cryptor will probably be the most damaging thing, because the White Binder will still be able to come back. The Heart's Cryptor gives the ability to start spinning back some of my resource and banishing my opponent's cards. So even if they did early door Shifter, I would only be 1 monster down. So it'd make it still a little bit awkward to make the Heart's Cryptor on this board, but I would still be able to make it. I just wouldn't be able to have the White Binder on the board as well. I can go into other Link monsters, so keep in mind I'm not locked. I'm only locked into Link monsters. I'm not locked into Cyverse or anything specific because I haven't used Splash Mage. So the other is just like, can I add anything more to this board? I've drawn 3 cards. There's a Dominus Impulse in that hand. I think another one is a Cynet Mining. And then I think I hard drew the other trap card. So you can see that we're going to set 4. I think one of them's a D barrier as well. So we're in a fairly decent position. It looks like they top decked the Sangan Sangan Summoning for turn, which is pretty busted. But we know that there's a Kaiju coming down, and this is obviously where they learned from the previous game where they probably Kaiju the Heart's Cryptor. But the issue is, and what I'm trying to tell them is, because Shifter's active, and this is where Shifter is actually good for Maliss, is no matter what you Kaiju in this position, they'll banish and still come back to the board. If you banish the White Binder, I get a draw. If you banish the Heart's Cryptor, it comes back and it'll be 5k. So it still kind of gives me strength on the board. So no matter what you do, there's not really anything that's going to help there. As soon as you activate the Sangan Summoning, I already know you've got a Ghost Ogre, which is dead, and I know you've got a Pydra. So I can just very easily go TB11, banish, gets rid of the first card or gets rid of the Pydra, and Heart's Cryptor gets rid of the second one. Like, the fact that the Sangan Summoning's at 1, you always want to get rid of it, so we're going to banish that. He's then revealing the Ogre and just reminding himself that he's under Shifter, so he can't even use it, which would be really good. But even then, if he does activate that on the Heart's Cryptor gets banished and comes back anyway, so... Still in the same position, normal summon Pydra, and then we're just going to flip Imperm to stop it going on. There's just nothing more they can do, so they kind of scoop it up there. Anyway, that is it for the entire duel. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. Be more than happy to answer them. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.